Hello, I am back again to share another poem. I told you I have lots of poems. So thank you so much to those of you who encourage me, who watch this, who take time to let me know that they appreciate. And I've had people say that they really, really like my stories. And so I just really appreciate having an audience to share with. And I'm trusting that it's impactful in some ways. So, and that you can relate in some ways as well. So as I've been doing, and I continue to, I'm here motivated strongly in response, in poetic response to the toxic drug crisis. And I'm hopping on a slightly different track today of mental health. I mean, we could say that it's really kind of part of it all, and it is. So I'm going to talk about mental health. And before I get started, it's a special day for me today. And it's very fitting that I would be doing this right now, sitting here in my car in a parking lot. I was just at Starbucks doing a little bit of writing of poetry. I have a bit of spare time to myself. As a mom, that's precious. And in the afternoon, I'm going to be doing my very first poetry writing workshop called Plugged In Poetry. And there's a bigger story how God kind of led this to come to be. And but I'm very excited. It's a new direction in my poetry. And so if you're interested and want to hear more, drop me a line and we can talk. Anyways, I digress. Coming back, talking about mental health. So I have lots of different pockets, I guess you could say, of different areas in my life that there's stories upon stories upon stories. And often I've written lots in these areas and spoken word. Mental health is one of them. And I have my own mental health journey story. And maybe over time, as I begin to share more of my writing about mental health, maybe some of it will begin to unfold. I think mental health is very important, and I think it's connected to the toxic drug crisis and to so many of our lives as well. Even if we're not in the toxic drug crisis personally. But I think that many of us know people who are, love people who are. Some of us maybe have been involved in drug use in the past and have come out of that, or at any rate, I think we can relate. And because I think there's so much more that connects us as humans than we think. And speaking of connection, well, no, not connection. Anyways, my mind's a little funny right now. But when it comes to the topic of mental health, I think that there is so much more that I've seen and experienced in my own story. And then I've become passionate about reading about it and hearing people's stories about mental health. I think that there's depths of what's going on that even our mental health field doesn't really grasp. I think it's in the spiritual realm that our mental health field doesn't really grasp or doesn't want to go there or know how to go there. And I think even the church doesn't grasp and doesn't know how to go there. And this makes me think of the church, makes me think of that I also have a lot of poems on the topic of church and church hurt and processing all of that as I became a Christian, like on purpose, only about 9 or 10 years ago. And as I did that, I had to begin processing why I had stayed away from church, why I had been so reluctant to become a Christian in the first place. And I continue to have to process those things. So please just don't mind the sound of a big vehicle that just began its engine near me as I share with you a poem called Yes, I'm Depressed. Yes, I'm depressed. I'm just going to say it out loud, be proud, without apology, guilt, or shame, without fear of the labels, the stigma, and the total lack of understanding in our culture. Yes, I'm depressed. Not always. Often I'm joyful, peaceful, and playful. I live in the full spectrum. I'm not trapped in the middle. Yes, I'm depressed. Just read the news and tell me it's not depressing to see where we have landed, what's going on in our world, in our own neighborhoods and homes. Yes, I'm depressed. I was raised by broken babies, and like rabies, the curse has spread through the roots, burning innocent children. I was one of them, still healing, feeling, shaking, and remaking. Yes, I'm depressed. I'm sensitive, very sensitive. I'm sure that this is how we were designed. I can feel every tiny, subtle detail and nuance. I can feel others and I can feel their feelings. And I can tell you that most people are not fully satisfied, hiding their pain, straining to keep up. The gravity is massive. I feel it. This is a blessing and a curse. I've rehearsed for years how to make it in this world when so fragile, delicate, sensitive, misunderstood, unseen, unsafe, and feeling alone. I've done the best I can, but now I'm tired of living in boxes. I'd rather eat green eggs and ham with foxes. Yes, I'm depressed. Culture tells us we're all about how we look and how much we earn and own. Try to tell me that's not depressing. Try to tell me that this is all right, to stomp on and throw away all who do not make the call. When human value is not valued, I feel a little depressed. Yes, I'm depressed. Every head buried underground, the sound of robots walking is mute. Deafening, sickening. I'm lonely. I'm starving for real people with real feelings and real life. Yes, I'm depressed. I see so many struggling, crumbling. I've lost family members to suicide, depression. The ghosts of the past served up in the form of cancer, addictions, and abuse make no excuse. This is depressing. Yes, I'm depressed. My massive heart is tender, caring, and beautiful, but I need lots of rest in loving so much. So exhausting. Depression does not fit into life's agenda. Yes, I'm depressed. I'm depressed, and they say that I'm sick and I need medication. But I'm not sure which one of us needs evaluation. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Please share this with anybody who needs to hear it. On the topic of mental health and the poetry that I have, this is just me bringing up the very beginning of it, but I have lots of poetry on mental health, and I have shared it in the past and had very tremendous results. I've had tons of people come forward, very emotionally jarred, not jarred is the wrong word, stirred up, emotionally stirred up as they come to me, just kind of deeply thanking me for bringing this kind of poetry and language up. I've had tons of people respond, all kinds of people. I've shared it in places where, like, men in prison, and they just loved the way I shared about mental health. So stay tuned for more of these ones in particular. I've also had counselors use my poetry to share sometimes with clients. And I actually had a response once where a counselor friend of mine shared with me, of course, keeping confidentiality in place, but they did share that that somebody in their counseling practice went and listened on my at that time I had some videos up on YouTube. Now I have different ones, but and they listened to some of my poetry on mental health and apparently reported that it was the first time that they ever in their life, and they were like in their 50s, 60s, this person, it was the first time that life felt like living. And I by no means want to take credit for that. That is God, who inspires my poetry and has met me in every letter of every word of every line of every part of my story as I've journeyed through these things. So the credit goes to God. And when one encounters God, it is like the first time you might feel like living. There's so much I could say there. But anyways, carrying on. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye.